Hello guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at a 2024 horror movie, so a modern horror movie called Heretic, starring Hugh Grant. But before we go into that, let's have a look at the special features on the disc. So this is the disc main screen. So we're going to have a look at the special features. There's director commentary with Scott Beck and Brian Woods, and that is it. That is the only special features on this film. So you can see absolutely minimal special features. This is the problem with generic or these big companies that release these films. So they're not interested in giving you, who's this released by? Entertainment on video. They're not interested in giving you an experience. That they just want to get the film out to make the money from it, which is a shame for the release, which is and a shame for the film really. But there we are. The only special feature we had on this is a commentary. So we'll go on to the story. So this is a film about these two young girls who are a part of a Mormon sort of church, you know, the Church of Jesus Christ, which is a Mormon sort of religion. And they're out on their travels and they are trying to recruit new people to the church. And so you may have these, you might have seen them around your local town. They tend to be around most towns, offering out little booklets and stuff like that, and maybe even knocking on your door, trying to sort of like entice you into their beliefs. And these are two young girls, and they're talking about life a little bit and things that go on. And there's some ironic things like they're sitting on a bench, and the bench has got like a picture of a massive condom on the back, which is kind of ironic. And they're going around town not having any luck. In fact, we see town folk bullying them. We see a group of girls that go over to take a selfie with them, and it's just a trick. And he pulls one of these two girls' skirts down. And it's kind of like, it's kind of really sad, really, this sort of thing. And the two sisters, and the two they call themselves sisters, the religion, and you've got Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton, played by Zoe Thatcher and Chloe East. And Hugh Grant plays a guy called Mr. Reed. Now, they're doing call-ons on sort of people that have shown interest on finding out more of the religion, and one of the people is Mr. Reed. So they go to his house on this call out, and just as they're arriving, it starts to rain, and it starts to get really bad weather. And they lock up their bikes on the fence, and he takes an absolute eon to sort of like come to the door. He's obviously doing something. Anyway, eventually he comes to the door, and we meet Mr. Reed, as they played by Hugh Grant. And he invites them in. First of all, they don't want to come in because a part of their religion, they're not allowed to be in a room with a male without a female being there. It's another sort of bizarre sort of thing, really. But anyway, he sort of tells them a white lie and says that, you know, his wife's there, baking pie. So they say, okay, we can come in. So he comes in, and then the story starts going down the line of him questioning about sort of different religions, about the Jewish religion, Christian religion, the Muslim religion, and he starts talking to them about all sort of different things and things that he's discovered. Comes across as a very highly intelligent man, and he's confusing Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton by these sort of stories. And then he starts asking them some sort of weird questions, which doubts their religion about, do you think it's okay for a man to have multiple wives? And there's some sort of discrepancy in their religion by who was started by one of their forefathers, because apparently I think he did have multiple wives, but then preached that it wasn't okay. It's all this kind of thing goes on. So he starts to put questions and doubts in their mind about their religion. And they start to feel very uncomfortable with this. And then they ask to see his wife, who still doesn't turn up. And so he says he's going to go and get her. So he asks them to follow him to this room to find. And one of the sisters, she finds that the smell of pie, it was actually just a candle in the room. It is a home sort of therapy candle to make it smell like pie. So they go through to the room he's in, and he's got like a little sort of chapel that he's sort of built. And in this chapel, he's got two doors. And he writes on their belief and disbelief on one of them. And he's getting them a choice, because they try to escape out the front door and they can't because it's locked up. And so he said the only way out is through the back, and they have to choose the right door. And then the film sort of develops into a story of trying to find the right words for it. It's kind of almost like raping their beliefs and making them question everything that they've sort of like been taught and believe in. And he very cleverly goes through all this, and the horror comes from this, in the sense of like one person, Mr. Reed, is being able to sort of like dress down their religion and make them feel like what they're believing is just like a board game. It's just a game that they're playing. It's just like being controlled by some, which most religions are, a sort of some form of control. And he sort of takes them down to sort of like, and shows them discrepancies in their beliefs. And they are very, very sort of like very uncomfortable with it. And one of them started to sort of kind of believe what he's saying. And the film sort of progresses down this way, and it becomes a very disturbing horror film. And he sort of like he's got this skill of manipulation, and he just manipulates every word they say with a counter argument. And his counter arguments are quite right in a lot of ways, but it's all kind of plays out like this, and we kind of believe that he believes in one true religion. As we know, he is a heretic, so he sort of like believes in a sort of non-religion. To him, it'd be like a non-religious sort of thing. He'd be more into the satanic side of things, believing from that side of religion. And that's all I'm going to tell you about the story. So on to the characters. So the two girls, played by Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, are absolutely wonderful. They played the part really well. This is a very small cast. There is a few outside sort of characters, but they're smart. They've got a very small part, and there is another character that lives within the house called Prophet, which we don't really need to discuss because that's a spoiler. So these girls play really well, and they're very sort of like speak very proper and respectful to him, and they're sort of like, you can tell that they've almost sort of been brainwashed by their church to be this way, and it's quite sad because young girls don't talk like this, do they? You know, but they do here. But they play the parts wonderfully. Now to Hugh Grant. He's magnificent. He's absolutely fantastic in this film. He is so sadistic and evil and so sort of charming. And he really acts out well. He plays Hugh Grant pretty much with his facial expressions. Have you seen his films like Notting Hill and all these films? He uses his face a lot of expression, and he does so in this one. And it sort of charms the two sisters over to him being quite a sophisticated and intelligent man that will do them no harm. So they put their trust into them, and I think that's where the horror of the film is, because he's not a nice man, he's an evil man. And the characters are absolutely wonderful and fantastic. So I'll just tell you what I think about the film. So this film is absolutely incredible. It's one of the best horror films I've seen since The Witch. It's as good. Trust A24 to come up with the goods again. This is why I was shocked that it came out on like a big budget sort of label, because it is an A24 film. And they normally go to things like Second Sight and things like that. So it's a shame this didn't get a Second Sight release, because that would have had some major sort of like editions, and I would have bought the collector's edition of it, but unfortunately it didn't. But I'm going to score this an essential watch and give it a 10 out of 10. Now, when I saw it in the cinema, I gave it a 9. But on rewatching, I've studied it and understood it even more, and I've enjoyed it even more second time around. Just the debate that goes on between these characters is absolutely phenomenal, and you just get drawn into the conversation because Hugh Grant is so convincing, and you're just thinking, yeah, what he's saying is quite true, but is it? Or is it just him and his sort of heretic ways? But it's absolutely fantastic. It's an amazing film. I highly recommend going seeing it if you can. It sort of draws you in, and it makes you think. It is a slow burn film. You know, there's not much action. There is some kills and there's some gore in the film, but you know, I'm not going to go into again. I don't want to spoil nothing. I want you to watch it and find out. And it almost plays out like a game of sort of not cat and mouse, but like a puzzle game that these two girls have to solve to get out to stay alive. And he sort of makes them question their own, not just beliefs, but their own sort of sanity and well-being. And it's just absolutely fantastic. Really cool film. Heretic, 10 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. It's a great film. Really, really cool, guys. I really highly recommend it. It came out at the sort of latter part of last year, and me and the lad went to see it at the beginning of this year, after the Christmas period, because it came out around that sort of time, and we obviously I couldn't go and see him, he couldn't come to me, so we saw it when I went down there in January, and it blew me away then, and the lad really enjoyed it too. But was watching it a second time, it just confirmed to me what a magnificent piece of film this is. It's a fantastic horror film. I highly recommend it. And I highly recommend you go and check out some other channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Manby Film, Irish Design, Pizzawell. I'm the Ice Little Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrews, Haunted House, and The Maniac. And a massive shout out to my lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.